Good evening and namaste. We now welcome Srimati Sudha Rajagopalan. Sudha Rajagopalan will be performing a Harikatha concert today. Srimati Sudha Rajagopalan is a well-known Harikatha exponent from the Bay Area, California. She'll be accompanied in the Harmonium by Swati Iyengar. Swati Iyengar is a disciple of Sri Mahesh Kale. She'll also be accompanied in the Tabla by Sri Skanda Krishnan. Skanda Krishnan is a senior at California High School. He's a Tabla exponent in the Farrukhabad Gharana. Over to Srimati Sudha Rajagopalan.
कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि सत्यनारायणायेति समर्पयामि साई नारायणायेति समर्पयामि हरिः ओम तत्सत्. We offer our humble and prayerful salutations at the lotus feet of Lord Ganesha and Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. We express our gratitude to the Guruvayurappan Temple Committee for giving us this opportunity to do Harikatha on Ganapati Tattvam. We pray to Lord Ganesha that he should act through each and every one of us here by listening, playing, singing and narrating the story. Sur niragasaho Ganapati Sur niragasaho Sur niragasaho Ganapati Sur niragasaho Subhanayana Karunamaya Gauri Harashri Varada Vinayaka Shubhanayana Karunamaya Gauri Harashri Varada Vinayaka Omkara Ganapati Omkara Ganapati Adipati Sukapati Chandapati Gandapati Lina Nirantaraho Lina Nirantaraho Sur Niragasaho Sur Niragasaho Ganapati Sur Niragasaho Moreya Moreya Ganapati Bappa Moreya 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 Ganapati Bappa Moreya Gajavadana Sukha Karta Gajavadana Dudu Karta Gajavadana Moreya 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 Ganapati Bappa Moreya Gajavadana Sukha Karta Gajavadana Dudu Karta Gajavadana Moreya Moreya Sur niragasaho Sur niragasaho Sur niragasaho सुमनानी भरली ओंजळ नित्य रीती भावी चरणावर नाने बालक सुमधुर हासे भावत से वाहो सुरातुन ओंकार गणपती अधिपति सुखपति चंदपति गंधपति अधिपति सुखपति चंदपति गंधपति सूरपति वीण निरंतर हो वीण निरंतर हो सूर निरागस हो सूर निरागस हो गणपति सूर निरागस मोरया मोरया गणपति बप्पा मोरया 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 गणपति बप्पा मोरया गजवदना तू सुख करता गजवदना तू दुख करता गजवदना मोरया मोरया सूर निरागस हो सूर निरागस हो सूर निरागस हो सूर निरागस हो. In today's Harikatha, we will portray the significance of Ganapati Chaturthi celebrations, followed by a few stories on Lord Ganesha, which are pregnant with spiritual essence and moral values. Ganapati Bappa Moria! In the year 1893, Sri Lokamanya Tilak, also known as Balagangadhara Tilak, initiated this landmark movement where he united people from all walks of lives in the name of Ganesha and got them to create a beautiful idol of Lord Ganesha, and they worshipped that idol for a few days and then immersed the same in the ocean. Now we may wonder what the significance of this is. We'll come back to it a little bit later. During those days, Mother India was fighting for her freedom from the Britishers, and the social gatherings were completely banned, but the religious gatherings were allowed. So the brilliant mind that he was, Sri Lokamanya Tilak, arranged for this Ganesh Chaturthi celebration. By participating in this, people express their devotion not only to Lord Ganesha but also to the motherland. They use this event to network with each other and exchange nationalistic ideas. Thus, Lord Ganesha, who was a domestic local deity, became a national and a global deity and universally accepted. Perhaps Lord Ganesha enjoys this unique status that he is worshipped by people of all religions. Even today, the Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations are carried out in every nook and corner of India and even in the whole world with a lot of fanfare, singing and dancing. First, in their local communities or in their households, they get together and create idol of Ganesha. Nowadays, rather than in the traditional forms, they create Ganesha with bow and arrow like Rama, with a flute like Krishna, and Ganesha could be even created with like Mahavishnu reclining on the serpent bed, or Lord Shiva. Chitraratna vichitrangam chitramala vibhushitam गणनायकम् वन्देऽहं गणनायकम् वन्देऽहं गणनायकम्. Now, we will get to the spiritual significance of this event. People not only saw Lord Rama and Krishna and Shiva in Ganesha, but they saw Lord Ganesha in each and every one of them. They were able to express and experience the oneness. Secondly, we all know how difficult it is to let go of our belongings. Here, they get together and create a beautiful idol and adorn it with a lot of decorations and worship and do puja every day. And basically, they are in the Ganesha consciousness. But after a few days, they are ready to go and immerse the idol in the water. This teaches detachment to all of us. If we are able to do this, extend this beyond the Ganesh Chaturthi in our households with our belongings and with our relationships, especially when we have to deal with our kids, I think our households will be having a lot of peace. Finally, a beautiful concept is introduced, a tough concept that is. It's a divine law that whatever comes from the source goes back to the source. Like the bodies that are made of 5 elements, when the body dies, goes back to the 5 elements. Very much like how the clay idol goes back to the ocean. But Ganesha comes back year after year, very much like how a soul takes different births in different bodies. Sri Bhagavan Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayantyapah, na shoshayati marutah. This Atma, this soul, cannot be destroyed by weapons, by fire, by water or wind. But this is a very tough concept to understand. But we are indeed grateful to Sri Lokamanya Tilak and Lord Ganesha for introducing this highest, profound wisdom in a very simplified way for us to practice. We pray to Lord Ganesha that he should illumine our minds so that we understand the spiritual significance of this event and not pollute the environment by making Ganesha idols with plaster of Paris, cement or concrete materials. Ganapati Bappa Moria! Now we move on to our second story. This is a story where Ganesha's birth takes place. Mata Parvati once asks Nandi, the mount of Lord Shiva, to guard her while she is bathing. Nandi is very diligent and watching very carefully. That time Lord Shiva arrives. Now Nandi is in a dilemma. Lord Shiva is Mata Parvati's consort, so he should be allowed to go, and also he is the master of Nandi. So after thinking for a little while, he lets Lord Shiva in. Even though Mata Parvati did not mind it, she thought to herself, just because Nandi is the mount of Lord Shiva, his first allegiance is to him. If I have somebody of my own, then that person will follow my instructions to the core. Thinking thus, with the sandal paste, she makes a beautiful idol and breathes life into it. Also wishing that this person will take care of the Lokakshema, will be used for the upliftment of all people, all beings. The grateful Ganapati bows down at Mata Parvati's feet and says, "Mom, how can I help you?" Mother Parvati now asks Ganapati to guard her while she is bathing. As expected, Lord Shiva arrives and Ganapati stops him. Lord Shiva is amused. Laughingly he asks, "Dear child, who are you? Why are you stopping me?" Ganapati replies, "Mother Parvati's son I am. I am instructed to guard her while she is bathing, so you cannot enter." Lord Shiva tries to talk him out of it, but Ganapati wouldn't budge. So he goes back and sends his army, his Ganas. As soon as Ganapati sees the army, he starts fighting with them. And Mata Parvati, hearing some commotion outside, understands that Ganapati is fighting all alone. So she sends Mahakali and Durga to assist him by preventing all weapons from getting to Ganapati before he could do anything about it. Thus, Ganapati is defeating Shiva's army, and then Devendra, the Lord of the Devas, sends his Ganas, and Ganapati, with a lot of valor, fights all of them and defeats them as well. Now Lord Brahma wants to get some sense into him, so he goes to talk to him, but Ganapati is not ready to listen because he's so intoxicated with the victory that he's getting. He's losing sight of why he is doing all of this in the first place. Then Lord Vishnu, while he is fighting him, Lord Shiva beheads Ganapati with his trident. When Mata Parvati finds out, she is in a lot of pain. Her heart is aching and she doesn't have any words to even speak to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva immediately wants to fix the situation, so he sends his Ganas to bring the first head that they could locate. The Ganas bring the head of an elephant. Lord Shiva places the head on Ganapati and resurrects him. Now Mata Parvati is pleased and appeased. Now you may wonder, the all-knowing mother could have asked Ganapati to stop fighting ferociously like this, and the all-knowing Lord Shiva could have easily convinced Ganapati. But how come all of that didn't happen? Usually, when these metaphors are created, they are exaggerated so that we understand the significance of it. So in this story, when Ganapati is fighting so vigorously and he is fighting out of pride, he's being very proud of his actions. So his lower mind is getting used. Lord Shiva, by fixing the head of the elephant, makes Ganapati think through his higher mind, makes him use his discriminating power and intellect. If you look at the form of Ganesha, of course Ganesha has a big intellect because his head weighs at least 40 to 50 pounds. And then he has a big ear, so he listens a lot, but has a very small mouth, so he speaks very little. He has smaller ears compared to the other parts. That denotes the focus and the concentration that she has. Now, this Ganapati all the devas confer a lot of boons on him. Lord Shiva particularly makes him the leader of his army. That's why he's called Ganesha. Also, Lord Shiva blesses him that Lord Ganesha will be worshipped as the first deity in any puja. Gajabhadram surasreshtam karnachamarbhushitam Gajabhadram surasreshtam karnachamarbhushitam Valendu vilasan maulim vandeham gananayakam Vashakushadharam devam vandeham gananayakam Vandeham gananayakam Vandeham gananayakam. Prathama Pujana Ganapati ki Jai. In the next story, Narayana Narayana, Sage Narada enters. Of course, we all are very familiar with this. Whenever Sage Narada enters, you know that you will be moved out of your comfort zone. And there will be some confusion created. And then later, everything will settle down for higher good. Now, Sage Narada is visiting Lord Shiva and Parvati in Kailash. As Sage Narada enters, Parvati is thinking to herself that there is going to be some problem here. But welcomes Sage Narada, and the sage hands over a fruit to the mother and says, "This is a very blessed fruit. Whoever eats this will receive a lot of power and wisdom." Immediately, Mother Parvati is about to cut the fruit into two to give it to both her sons, Lord Ganesha and Lord Kartikeya. Sage Narada stops her and says, "Ma Parvati, this fruit should be consumed in totality by one person. You cannot cut it up." Oh, now they understand the trouble. So Lord Shiva and Mata Parvati come up with a competition between the brothers. Lord Shiva says, "Whoever goes around the world 3 times first will receive this fruit." Even before Lord Shiva could complete the rules of the competition, Lord Kartikeya mounts on his peacock and flies away into the sky. But Lord Ganesha is peacefully sitting on his Mushika, the mouse. Lord Ganesha finishes one round. Lord Kartikeya goes around 1 time. He finishes even the 2nd round. Still, Lord Ganesha is not moving out of his place. Halfway through the 3rd round, Lord Ganesha mounts his Mushika and circumambulates his parents 3 times and asks for his fruit. First, both the parents are taken aback, but they are very pleased with Ganesha's gesture. So, they could not refuse him the fruit. After Ganesha receives the fruit, Lord Kartikeya also arrives at the scene, and he's extremely upset with the judgment. But that's for another time and another Harikatha. So what is the significance in this story? In the Vedas it is said, Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava. So we must have respect and reverence for our parents since they created us and they are our worlds. Ambika Hridayanandam Matrubhe Paripalitam. Ambika Hridayanandam Matrubhe Paripalitam. Bhakta Priya Manonmatam Vandeham Gananayakam. Vandeham Gananayakam. Vandeham Gananayakam. Hey Ramba Priya Ganapati ki Jai! This story is set in the Treta Yuga. Lord Shiva's ardent devotee, Ravana, does severe penance. And mightily pleased with the penance, Lord Shiva blesses him with an Atmalingam. Ravana wants to take the Atmalingam to Lanka and place it there so that Lanka becomes indestructible by any force. The only condition Lord Shiva puts on for this to work is that Ravana should only go by foot to Lanka and place it there. When all the Devas hear about this, all the Yakshas, Gandharvas and Kinnaras, all the beings, when they hear about it, they are extremely worried that the already mighty Ravana might cause more disturbances to the Devas. So they pray to Lord Ganesha. Yaksha Kinnara Gandharva Siddha Vidyadharai Sada. Yaksha Kinnara Gandharva Siddha Vidyadharai Sada. Suyamanam Mahatmanam Vandeham Gananayakam. Vandeham Gananayakam. Vandeham Gananayakam. Lord Ganesha agrees to help them. He fills Ravana's bladder, and now Ravana is desperate to attend the nature's call. At the time, from nowhere, a boy appears, and Ravana runs to him and hands the Atmalingam and says, "You cannot place it for any reason down on earth. You have to hold it till I come back." Then the boy says, "I have a lot of work to do. I can't be waiting here forever. So I will call for you 3 times. If you don't show up, I will place it on the earth and go away." Did Ravana have any choice? He left the Atmalingam with the boy and rushed. After a while, the boy called for Ravana 3 times. Since there was no sign of Ravana coming, he dropped the Atmalingam on earth and went on to do his business. A little while later, Ravana rushed back, only to see that the lingam was on the ground. He was so infuriated and desperate that he used all his 20 hands to lift the Atmalingam. But the Atmalingam only changed shape, but did not move even an inch. That's why where this lingam is placed now, that place is called Gokarna, having the shape of the cow's ear. And the lingam is called Mahabaleshwar because even the mighty Ravana could not lift the lingam up. Ravana now is looking for that boy to do something about it. And he spots the boy, runs to him and holds him by his ear, and he's about to hit him with his knuckle on the head. That time, the boy takes the form of Lord Ganesha. Mushikottama Maruhya Devasura Mahave. Mushikottama Maruhya Devasura Mahave. Yodhukamam Mahaviryam Vandeham Gananayakam. Vandeham Gananayakam. Vandeham Gananayakam. Seeing Lord Ganesha there, Ravana is spellbound, and now he understands the divine plan. Now he knows that Lanka is going to be destroyed by someone at some point in time. Sura Vandita Ganapati ki Jai. The next story is set in the Dwapara Yuga. Narayana Narayana. Sage Narada visits with Sage Vedavyasa. Sage Vyasa is contemplating about writing Sri Mahabharatam, but he's not sure how he will be composing and writing at the same time. Sage Narada suggests that Sage Vyasa prays to Lord Ganesha. When Vyasa prays to Ganesha, Ganesha accepts the job of a scribe, only under one condition, that the dictation could not stop. If Sage Vyasa stops the dictation, then Lord Ganesha will stop the writing forever. Now, Sage Vyasa counters this by another condition, that whatever Lord Ganesha writes, you should completely understand. Thus, both of them begin writing Sri Mahabharatam. This project goes on for many years, and as Lord Ganesha is writing, he finds that the scroll that the instrument that he's writing with is broken. Without thinking even for a second, he breaks part of his tusk and continues to write without any interruption, as he has agreed to with Sage Vyasa. It is said that over 6 million verses were written, and many of them are in different lokas, and only 100,000 of them came to earth as Sri Mahabharatam. And out of this, 8,800 of them were the difficult ones that Sage Vyasa composed just to buy some time for the flow of his writing and dictation. Lord Ganesha teaches the value of commitment to all of us. When one commits to a task, there would be a lot of obstacles. Even to Lord Ganesha, there was obstacle. But we cannot deter. We should continue and be even able to ready to sacrifice, like the way Lord Ganesha sacrificed part of his tusk. Ekadantam mahakayam taptakanchana sannibam. Ekadantam mahakayam taptakanchana sannibam. Lambodara vishalacham vandeham gananayakam. Vandeham gananayakam. Ekadantaya Vakratunda Gajanana ki Jai. The final story for the day is set in Kali Yuga. In Mount Kailash, Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati were getting married. So, the Devas, the Rishis, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, Kinnaras, the human beings, all of them assembled there. Unable to bear the weight, the Himalayas started sinking. So Lord Shiva summoned sage Agastya, one of the Sapta Rishis, the most revered one, and asked him to go to the southern part to balance the weight. Here, it is not so much the physical weight, but it's a spiritual weight. Because many spiritual people were gathered on Himalayas, there was lack of spirituality in the southern part. So, sage Agastya was sent to the Podigai region, and that kind of sums up the greatness of sage Agastya for us. Lord Shiva also blesses him that wherever sage Agastya is, he would be able to see the wedding, the divine wedding, and also blesses him with water from his matted locks. And sage Agastya, carrying this in the spouted pot, the Kamandala, arrives at the Podigai mountains. Sage Agastya's contribution to the Tamil culture is immeasurable. There are a lot of controversies and a lot of different schools have thought about this, but sage Agastya definitely had a great part to play in the Tamil culture and in the Siddha medicine that's even practiced today. Sage Agastya was exploring the southern part of the world. In the meantime, there was an asura by name Padmasura. The demon was creating a lot of havoc in all the lokas that Devendra decided to be on exile. He went to the southern part of India in the Sirgari region and hid himself. He created a flower garden and worshipped Lord Shiva every day. Thus, he attained peace. When Padmasura came to know about it, he summoned Lord Varuna and ordered him to stop raining. So, the whole region became very dry. The drought-stricken region did not have any plants grow. People were struggling for their lives. The whole place looked like Shmashan, like the burial ground. Everywhere there were bodies of animals and human beings. The Devas could not bear this sight. The people of that region who were survivors could not deal with this anymore. So they all prayed to Lord Ganesha. Lord Ganesha, as always ready to help, took the form of a crow and tipped off the kamandal that sage Agastya was having. Sage Agastya shooed the crow, but the river took it as the sign to flow. So the Ganges water flowed as river Kaveri. Thus, the whole region sprang to life again. Now, people were so grateful to Lord Ganesha and sage Agastya for the water that they got. I think with the global warming happening, all of us have to pray to Ganesha and say Agastya and Lord Ganesha have to go from place to place to get us all some water. Thus, Lord Ganesha, always ready to help whoever calls to him, removed the biggest obstacle for the people in the southern region. Sarva Vigna Haram Devam Sarva Vigna Vivarjitam Sarva Vigna Haram Devam Sarva Vigna Vivarjitam Sarva Siddhi Pradataram Vandeham Gananayakam Vandeham Gananayakam Vandeham Gananayakam. When sage Agastya wanted to see why the crow did the tipping, he followed the crow and saw the crow become a boy. So he went to the boy and wanted to hit him with his knuckle on the head. That time, the boy appeared as Lord Ganesha with a moon-like radiant face and blessed sage Agastya. Maunji Krishna Jinadharam Nagayagyopavitinam Maunji Krishna Jinadharam Nagayagyopavitinam Valindu Vilasan Maulim Vandeham Gananayakam Vandeham Gananayakam Vandeham Gananayakam. Vigna Vinashaka Vigneshwara ki Jai. We conclude today's program by expressing immense gratitude to the Guruvayurappan Temple Committee for giving us this wonderful opportunity. We pray to Lord Ganesha that the Guruvayurappan Temple should bring programs like this and bring all of us together for generations to come. A story like this wouldn't be possible without all the resources. For today's story, we thank the Magic Box Stories for Children and lots of spiritual leaders who have given discourses on Lord Ganesha and Wikipedia. Finally, we would like to thank all of you, the audience, for giving us this opportunity of satsang. We pray to Lord Ganesha that he should dance in our hearts, illumine our minds, expand our hearts, and remove all obstacles, not only for our daily activities, but also for our self-realization and God realization. Tandavan Nrityakari Gajanana Tandavan Nrityakari Gajanana Dhimi 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 Kita Baze Mridanga Dhimi 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 Kita Baze Mridanga Brahma Taladari Brahma Taladari Tandavan Nrityakari Gajanana Tandavan Nrityakari 33 koti deva milane madhye shiva gauri चंद्रमा शोभे चंद्रमा शोभे श्री तांडव नृत्य करी गजानन तांडव नृत्य करी सिद्धि विनायक मंगलदाता सिद्धि विनायक मंगलदाता बुद्धि प्रदायक गणनाथा सिद्धि विनायक मंगलदाता विघ्नहरण प्रभु विघ्नेश्वर तुम गौरी नंदन हे जगवंदन नमोस्तुते 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 सिद्धि विनायक मंगलदाता सुख करता दुख हरता वार्ता विघ्नाची ओ वार्ता विघ्नाची पूर्वी पूर्वी प्रेम कृपा जयाची सर्वांगी सुंदर उटी सेंदुराची ओ उटी सेंदुराची कंठी झळके माळ मुक्ता फळांची जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ती दर्शन मात्रे मन कामना पूर्ती जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ती हो श्री मंगल मूर्ती दर्शन मात्रे मन कामना पूर्ती जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ती हो श्री मंगल मूर्ती रत्न खचित परा तुझ गौरी कुमरा तुझ गौरी कुमरा चंदनाची ओढी कुंकुम केशरा चंदनाची ओढी कुंकुम केशरा हिरे जडित गुण शोभतो वरा ऋण सुणती नूपुरे चरणी गागरिया जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ती हो श्री मंगल मूर्ती दर्शन मात्रे मन कामना पूर्ती जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ती हो श्री मंगल मूर्ती गोदर पीतांबर पडिवर बंदना सरल सोंड वक्र तुंड त्रयनयना सरल सोंड वक्र तुंड त्रयनयना दास रामाचा वाटाये सदना संकटी पावावे निर्वाणी रक्षावे सुरवर वंदना जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ती हो श्री मंगल मूर्ती दर्शन मात्रे मन कामना पूर्ती जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ती हो श्री मंगल मूर्ती